Hello and welcome back. Just bringing the EM2 to stop there in the station, right next to the B17. I think I mentioned the model last week. I've had it for a while and it's taken a little while to get it into sensible running condition, but we'll have a look over the slight modifications I've made to it a little bit later on. But it's R.435, I think the model number, available 1980 through to 82, I think, from what I read in Pat Hammond's book. And we've got some of those Teak coaches. And I did mention I'd run it with the Clear Story coaches, the LNER ones I have last week, but I think maybe these ones may be a better choice, but I couldn't make my mind up, so I have got the Clear Story coaches out, sitting in the far platform there, so we'll have a look at running with those as well. So I think these are RO 24 for the coach and 25 for the brake. I'll just have a glance at my notes there. Yeah, R24 and 25 respectively, coach and brake for the Clear Stories, and the these Teaks from 77 to 79 are R.435 for the coach, and 436 for the brake. I think if we come down here we might see that just hiding under the canopy there, but we'll have a slightly closer look at those a bit later on, but we won't get too bogged down in those. There is another video looking at those very closely. I'll leave a link to that, but I think now I just need to concentrate for a moment and switch some of the point work so we can have a bit more fun with the B17 rather than just looking at it. So we'll switch 4B, I think, and then we want to switch the outward point on the end of the station, and then I need to switch back to track power rather than overhead power on the left hand side of the controller. I just need to fiddle with the isolating switches, so we'll swap. Sorry, camera's pointing in the wrong direction. So if I've done everything correctly there, ideally that B17 will now come out of the platform. Sorry, I'm just bashing into the microphone, which was what the unusual noise was. So let's see if we can give this a run around and back to the station. So let's see if we can get a nice view of it coming there out of the canopy, from under the canopy, sorry, under the bridge. Occasionally the drive wheels, not the drive wheels, what should be the drive wheels on the locomotive do stick, but more usually in reverse than travelling forwards. And we'll follow that under the bridge. Let's go slightly more elevated there. And then that should ideally will run back into the station and not into back of the M2. It's looking good so far. And there we go. So I think what we'll do now is just fiddle with the point work again, and we'll see if we can get that to run up and over. So I'll just turn around gently. So what we need now is 1G and 3G and 2B. So we switch from inside to outside to get to the tail end of the elevated section, he says confidently. It sounds good when I'm talking it through, but hopefully we'll get it right. We do have the occasional mistake. So let's give that a bit more power. Let's go from above this time as we exit the station. Under the gantries. I think later versions of these coaches had teak ends, but these are the earlier ones, just from the late 70s. I think the ones in the 80s had the teak ends. I don't currently have a set of those. Let's see if we can catch this through the point work here. Let's see if we can have a closer look at this valve gear out and get up close to it here. Absolutely effortless coming up here. I'm stepping backwards here, hoping I'm not going to bash into anything. And I think we'll bring her to a gentle stop at the top and have a swift look over her. I don't want to do it for a moment. I'm just going to swivel camera around so I can get in a little tighter. So that'll enable me to go almost up to the model there. Gorgeous nameplate on there. Now she does have alternative names. We'll have a look at those that are still present in the box. And there is a little bit of sort of overpaint on that back drive wheel I have noticed. So lovely double lining, and we've got handrails on the tender. They are a bit tarnished on the locomotive as well. They are a little bit tarnished on the. They're popping out a little bit on the far side. We've got a little bit of glazing there, a safety valve, so a pair of safety valves perhaps, and a whistle. Let me just swing around there. If we have a look at that wire handrail at the front, it's almost as though the handrails are too wide, but it just keeps popping out of that front one. So we'll just have a quick glance over those coaches, and so we won't get bogged down too much with the coaches. I think that was 436 on the brake. And there is an earlier video where I had a good look over the whole range of these Teaks that I've got, and 435 for the coach. Got those nice white roofs with all that detail on them there. Some of them are whiter than others, of course. And then we're just going to get that Ginty from last week in view there, 2021, with that bright red coach. Let's have a look at the crane while we're here. We might as well have a look at the crane. Up nice and close. I realised we didn't have that much of a close-up look at this crane last week, but I think we've seen the cranes before. And that's all metal, that base on there. R.435 from the early 60s to the late 70s. I think it may have appeared later in the catalogue in bright yellow in some other sort of application as well, perhaps with a wagon or a platform crane. I'm just going to flip this camera around now because it's getting very heavy holding it like that. So I think that's probably enough talking for now. We'll give this a little power and see if we can bring it down the elevated section. Maybe we'll stop and see how she runs backwards, moving this short rake of coaches. So we'll give that a little power. We'll step back, we'll get the whole thing in view on the descent there. And we'll just calm that down to a gentle stop. And then we'll perhaps get in a bit closer to the model and back it up a little, see how she does. 2 traction tyres on the tender. Yeah, that's pretty effortless. I don't think it would have any trouble. Maybe with even 2 more, I don't think it would even notice they were there. So let's see if we can drop back down onto level ground and make our way back to the station. See if we go slightly more elevated, we'll be able to see the goods shed. And run round on the far platform there at the station. The one I always forget to stop at. Now we'll have to remember to stop at points 8R because they're still open. I could possibly close the elevated section up as well at the same time. Nice gentle stop there. And again, I apologise, you can hear the squeaking floorboards there, or I can, it sounds really loud. So let's just pop the controller down, untangle my feet from the cabling, and we want 8R. And we want to close up this one and this one to seal off the elevated section, and this one so we don't swing back round onto the inside at the moment. All sounds reassuring. I'm just having a quick glance around. So ideally this should just run back around onto the platform now. So I'm just going to widen the camera a little bit so we have a slightly grander view. And we'll just go a bit more up in the air. See if we can get this to stop in a nice position next to that EM2. So there, I've got the model on the rolling road, and we'll just have a swift look over it. You can see the cable I've put between the tender and the locomotive there, and the 3D printed drawbar in the centre between the two of them, sorry. So we'll be able to have a look at that in a moment. So let's see if I can just ease this top off here so we can have a swift look at the motor in action. There's not a great deal to see. You can see the top of that centre wheel there on the tender where I've taken away the flange. So I don't know whether I can just lift that over the other side and we can have a quick look. I've seen the other side of a Ringfield motor before, I think. Nice heavy weights there, and the frame of that tender base is all metal as well, so it's quite a heavy thing. I'm just going to turn that off now. So we'll bring that gently to a stop there. So it drops off quite quickly on the clipper. So we'll just have a swift look along the side of the model here. I've got those lovely nameplates there. Again, they do have that sort of metallized feel about them, and you can see that slight tarnishing to the handrail. We can see the handrail quite a bit better this side. They tend to pop out. It's almost like the handrails are too wide for the model, or maybe they just need pinching in a little at the front maybe. But I don't really want to damage it too much, so it seems to do its job. Okay, so if I just lift this tender up, we can just have a swift look. I've left just enough cable on there to be able to lift it out and have a look. So it makes it easier to get it in and out of the box and get it on the rails and so on. So you can see how much play there is in those wheels, and they would just jam through the point work. So it ran perfectly when I took the centre wheels out. You can see that's got a green centre, and I've made that up black to match the rest of them because it had black wheels on it, and somebody's very kindly supplied me with some other wheels to try. But yeah, it seems to run now. It ran perfectly without the centre wheels once I got the drawbar sorted out, but then with the centre wheels in, it just kept jamming. So we'll pop that back down again, and I've got there's the 3D printed drawbar I made to replace the original. Let's just have a quick look at that. Quite a fine item, right on the edge, I think, of what my 3D printer's capable or comfortable of producing. So let's have a look at that. So that was the original drawbar, which obviously helped conduct the electricity. It was quite a poor thing, and also the tender. I'm struggling to hold that in focus there. The pin in the tender would rise out of that in those clips, and cause the wheels closest to the locomotive body to rise off the tracks, which didn't help matters either. So I think it's definitely better the way it is. So that's just my experience with this model. I'm sure others may have had different experiences with it. We'll have a quick look over the tender top while we've got that off. Some lovely detail in there. Those great handrails and double lining. So there's some minor damage where it's coming on and off the tender base. It's quite a rough fit. I have filed away some of the metal work to make that easier to get on and off rather than causing damage to it. Must be sort of step detail on the back there, and we've got some tanks there and a water filler. So we'll just pop that down. So we'll just have a glance at these. These are the centre wheels, or another set of centre wheels there. You can see the very fine flanges on it, which were just enough to cause that to jam in most of my point work there. So we'll save those for another day. So have a quick look over the box. I've got it open here. We've got the nice face card. Those beautiful pictures from the early 80s there on the front. Looking quite splendid on that scenery, that decorated layout scenery there. So the picture's not quite in focus on the card as it might be. It's quite a blurry print. I don't know whether that's the print process or the original photograph. I know I had a quick snap of this box earlier in the video there, but there is the number R.435 LNER Class B12 Loco, Manchester United. So I believe that this locomotive had these alternative names and numbers, so you could have several on your layout. Again, look at the shiny names there. What have we got? Nottingham Forest, Arsenal and Liverpool, and then we've got the appropriate numbers to go on the cab sides there. So it's always quite nice to have that. So it's got the polystyrene inner, so it just sort of sits nice and neatly in there. And I think we have 01 fitting instructions here. Interesting construction, this model. The cab sort of pulls off the boiler section there, so quite an interesting bit of construction. So we'll just turn that over, have a swift look at the other side. So it's suggesting there that you could get the 01 chip within the body there of a locomotive. So I don't know whether this refers to the GWR 060 Panya. They've got instructions for a number of locomotives there. That's the Class 4P. I've got that folded over there, haven't I? So it's a fairly general sheet, and there's that some more instructions down there, needing to cut parts of the model away. So I think that refers more to the model we're looking at here. So the B17, and you can see that drawbar, and there the leads would go out to the motor in the tender. So we'll just pop that to one side, and then we have the general instruction sheet here. Let's hold that a little bit further out. So Hornby Railways, I'm not going to open this one out. I'm working one-handed here, and we've got the model number R.435 28th to the 10th 1980. So I've just got the model turned over, so we'll have a quick look along the underside of the model. As you can see, it's done barely any running at all. Let's see if we can get Hornby's name there, made in Great Britain. So it's got that plastic plate along the bottom with a little what could be suspension or braking detail built into it. There you can see the little bits of sort of overpaint there on the wheel centres almost, isn't there? On the insulated bushes. But I mean, there's hardly any wear on these wheels. And it is lovely and smooth, although it does occasionally the wheels lock up when you're going backwards with this model, I've noticed, but it seems to be pretty good going forwards. Lovely valve gear, although it does have a plastic part, which I always thought was a bit of a shame that they put the plastic part within the valve gear. I don't know how much of a cost saving that was. Seems to have gone to all that trouble to get all that beautiful valve gear there, and then put a plastic part on it. You can see what looks like sort of overpaint on the centre drive wheels here. Again, they're semi-flanged. They're not quite as deep as the rest. I think that was the same principle with the tender there, just so it looks better. And there's my homemade drawbar in there. See if we can get some more light on that. And then we've got the metal coupling on the rear here, and it does have a plastic one on the front. Let's have a quick glance at that. Excuse, you can hear the dogs barking in the background. That's from next door. There we go. See, it's of a slightly different design. I think that might have been quite a normal thing at the time. You get the metal couplings on one part of the model, and then the plastic ones as they were becoming more normal and introduced into the range on the other part of the model, and probably incorporated into the design of certain parts. See, there's a little bit of I don't know whether that's a bit of overpaint with the red there drifting underneath the model. Let's have with the red line, it seems to have spread a little, doesn't it? And bled a little. So I think a lot of this was hand applied, or they were hand finished in the factory there. Let's see if we can just have a quick look at the back end of the buffer beam there. So whilst that position looks quite nice with the other train in the station there, it's not a great place for me to reach in and use the uncoupler. So I'm just going to roll her forwards a little bit, and then we'll see if we can get her uncoupled and then make our way around the railway, get the locomotive turned on a turntable, and pick up those other LNER Teak style coaches. That looks like the sort of position where we may be able to get that uncoupled in the station there. So excuse me while I put this brightly coloured uncoupler in here. I think we've got that. It looks convincing. I can't sort of bend down and look any further than that with the camera in my hand. So we'll add a little power, and we'll just see if we've got a decent separation there. Looks pretty good. I'm just going to pull out the uncoupler before I forget it. We'll just drop that there for a second. So let's just draw out of the station beyond the first 3 points, I think. And then we'll back up through we're going to go through points 1, 1-0 and the crossover 4-0 onto the inside line. I'm not going to spin round too quickly there. I'll just pop that down, and we might as well open up the point work into the turntable as well. So the first ones, whilst I remember, are 1-0 and then 4-0. And the ones where we're looking at the station, I think we need 1R and 2R seems to be in the wrong direction, so we'll do that one. There we go. So I think if we now roll the locomotive backwards, the plan would be she'll come right back round to the turntable. So I'm just going to perhaps swap hands. No, I'm not. I'm going to keep the same. Sometimes it feels right and sometimes it feels wrong in this hand, so we'll give it a go. So backwards we go. I think I may have just caught that in time. Yeah, I think we're good there. So I've already got the power selected for the turntable. So that's the right hand side of the controller, so that's set for the turntable. So I'm just going to we'll rotate that fully. So again, we all know this is going to be noisy, so we'll not listen for a moment perhaps. There we have it. So let's see if we can back off there successfully. So let's see if we can get a nice view of that from back here. Yeah, I've got the right direction with the switch and everything, so we just need to switch a couple of the points now. So we'll go for 1R, and then we need to go 2B, 1B still open, so that should all work. So we just need to roll forward of 2B. I'd switch that off, I didn't hear it go to the center click there. So let's go 2B and then 3B next to the signal box there. And then let's back up and see if we can collect those coaches. Now that sounds convincing. I think I'm going to have trouble leaning over and looking there myself. We'll hold the camera over. It looks sort of good. So let's see if we can pull that lot out onto the outside line. Clearly I'm turning the switch the wrong way there. So let's seal that up. So we have the outside line. Now, I think everything is set to roll right the way around. I'm going to change the camera around so we've got a slightly, whoops, that caught me by surprise, the speed at which that happened. Let's see if we can get a slightly better view on this, some slightly different. Again, got the wrong direction there. I've been doing well with that today. And there she's going to disappear behind the station. Let's see if we can hold that over. Looking good through the canopies there. Past the goods shed. And then back around she goes. Let's go a bit wider this time. I think that's probably about it for this week. But thanks again for watching. It really is hugely appreciated. I suppose we could just have a quick glance, get closer to these coaches and have a look at them. Let's see if we can stop just along here. So I realise I've already started to say goodbye there, and I'd forgotten we should probably have a bit closer look at these coaches. So I think this was 425 for the brake, and 424. Sorry, this was 024 for the coach and 025 for the brake. So it's just that basic old triangle sort of teak effect. So I think I've got 3 coaches, and I've got a single brake at the end there. Very sort of basic, but I think this mould goes way back to the early 60s for the GWR clear story coaches, coming along with the Lord of the Isles perhaps. So I think that's probably it this time. So we'll just send that on the way, and if you look back again next time, we'll have something else from the range to look at. Goodbye now.